You just hit $1 million in net worth. Congratulations, you're officially rich. You can retire early, buy that Tesla you've been eyeing, and finally upgrade from your studio apartment to something with actual square footage. But here's the brutal truth nobody wants to tell you. You're still broke. Because the leap from 1 million to 1 billion isn't just about having more money. It's about entering a completely different dimension of existence. Think about this for a second. 1 million seconds equals 11 days. 1 billion seconds equals 31 years. That's not a gap in wealth. That's a chasm between two entirely different species of human beings. Today, we're diving deep into what actually changes when your bank account goes from millionaire to billionaire status. And trust me, the differences will blow your mind. We're talking about lifestyle shifts so dramatic that millionaires and billionaires might as well be living on different planets. By the end of this video, you'll understand why billionaires operate by completely different rules, why they think in ways that seem alien to the rest of us, and how their daily expenses could fund entire small businesses. But before we get into the insane world of billionaire living, let's start with something most people can at least imagine: the millionaire lifestyle. When you hit that first million, you've officially escaped the paycheck to paycheck prison that traps most of humanity. You can afford the nice things without checking your bank balance first. We're talking about luxury watches that actually keep time, cars that don't break down every 6 months, and homes with more than one bathroom. Millionaires fly first class, own properties with 3-car garages, and can order the expensive wine without having an existential crisis about their retirement fund. The typical millionaire might be a corporate lawyer pulling in $300,000 a year, a surgeon making $400 to $700 annually, or one of those tech bros with fat stock options who still shops at Costco out of habit. Maybe they're real estate moguls who flipped their way to the top, or business owners who built something valuable enough to sell for serious money. These people have achieved what most consider the American dream. They're financially secure, comfortable, and free from the daily stress of wondering if they can afford groceries and rent in the same month. But here's the thing that might surprise you. They still think about money. They still compare prices. They still have budgets, even if those budgets include line items for private school tuition and European vacations. A millionaire looks at a $40,000 Rolex and thinks about whether it's worth it. They consider the opportunity cost. They might even sleep on it for a few days before making the purchase. They've escaped survival mode, sure, but they're still playing by the same fundamental rules as everyone else. They just have more points in the game. Now let's talk about the $100 million tier. This is where things start getting interesting. We're in the territory of multiple homes, private chefs, and car collections that need their own climate-controlled storage facilities. These people take weekend trips to the French Riviera because it's Tuesday, and they felt like eating authentic bouillabaisse. They have offshore accounts, personal trainers who make house calls, and the kind of security systems you see in spy movies. Their kids go to schools that cost more per year than most people's houses, but even at this level, there's still some connection to normal human behavior. They might own a Bentley, but they still have to deal with traffic. They might have a beautiful estate in the Hamptons, but they still need to book restaurants in advance sometimes. This is boss mode before God mode. They're living incredibly well, but they haven't completely transcended the basic constraints that govern normal human existence. They're still bound by some of the same limitations as everyone else, really nice amenities, while they deal with those limitations. But then we cross into billionaire territory, and this is where everything changes. This is where the rules of reality start bending. Billionaires don't spend money. They deploy it like a weapon or a tool to reshape the world around them. Their yachts don't just have swimming pools, they have helipads. And those helipads don't just land helicopters, they launch submarines. And those submarines don't just go underwater, they have their own spas and dining rooms. When a billionaire wants to go on vacation, they don't book a resort. They buy the island the resort is sitting on, and then decide whether they want to keep the resort or bulldoze it to build something more interesting. They don't just influence markets, they are the market. When Jeff Bezos sneezes, Amazon stock moves. When Elon Musk tweets, entire industries pivot. These people operate on a scale that makes millionaires look like they're still figuring out how to use a calculator. Bezos spends over $1 billion a year on his space program. That's not a hobby. That's not even a business investment in any traditional sense. That's a billionaire deciding that the current options for human transportation aren't premium enough for his taste, so he's going to invent better ones. Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion on what seemed like a whim. That's like a normal person buying a pack of gum, except a pack of gum influences global political discourse and controls how billions of people communicate with each other. Let me paint you a picture of what daily life looks like at these different wealth levels. A millionaire might own a nice boat, maybe something in the 30 to 50-foot range that they take out on weekends. A billionaire owns a 500-foot floating palace with a crew of 70 people, multiple swimming pools, a movie theater, and a submarine bay. The annual maintenance cost on their yacht exceeds what most millionaires spend on their entire lifestyle. A millionaire flies first class and feels pretty good about avoiding the middle seat nightmare. A billionaire owns 3 Gulfstream jets and a custom 747 that's been converted into a flying penthouse. They don't book flights. They tell their pilot which hemisphere they feel like visiting today. In real estate, a millionaire might own a $2 million house in a nice neighborhood. Maybe they have a vacation home somewhere warm. A billionaire owns a $200 million compound in Bel Air, a Swiss chalet for when they want to see snow, and a private island for when they want to see absolutely nobody else. The staff situation is equally mind blowing. A millionaire might have a financial advisor and an accountant. Maybe they pay someone to clean their house twice a week. A billionaire has a personal doctor on retainer, multiple chefs specializing in different cuisines, a security team that rivals small military units, private pilots, personal trainers, and what I can only describe as professional vibe consultants whose job is to make sure every aspect of their environment is optimized for their preferences. But the real difference isn't in what they buy, it's in how they think. This is where the gap becomes a completely different form of consciousness. Millionaires think about maximizing their returns. Billionaires think about maximizing their reality. When a millionaire sees a problem, they might write a check to help solve it. When a billionaire sees a problem, they buy the company that's supposed to be solving it, fire the management team, and rebuild the entire industry from scratch. This is the mindset shift that separates the merely wealthy from the genuinely powerful. Millionaires that still operate within existing systems. They play the game better than most, sure, but they're still following the same basic rules as everyone else. Billionaires don't follow rules, they write them. Jeff Bezos didn't just want faster shipping. He created Amazon and redefined what commerce means for the entire planet. Elon Musk didn't just want a better car. He forced the entire automotive industry to go electric or die. Mark Zuckerberg didn't just want to connect with college friends. He rewired human social interaction and accidentally broke democracy in the process. But here's where it gets really wild. The influence and power that comes with billionaire status extends far beyond personal luxury into world changing territory. A millionaire might donate $50,000 to their local politician's campaign and get a nice thank you dinner. A billionaire funds entire political movements, shapes public policy across multiple countries, and can single handedly swing elections just by deciding which causes deserve their attention. They don't just have more money, they have the ability to alter the trajectory of human civilization. When Bill Gates decided to focus on global health, diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries suddenly had billion-dollar research budgets. When Warren Buffett pledged to give away his fortune, it sparked a movement that convinced dozens of other billionaires to do the same, creating the largest philanthropic initiative in human history. The scary part? Most of this happens behind closed doors. While millionaires might show up to charity galas and get their pictures in the local newspaper, billionaires are quietly redesigning society from the shadows. They're funding research that determines what technologies get developed. They're backing startups that will become the next Google or Amazon. They're buying media companies that shape how billions of people understand the world. So when you're celebrating that first million, remember this. You've achieved something incredible. You've broken free from the financial constraints that limit most people's choices and possibilities. You've earned the right to live comfortably and pursue your passions without worrying about basic survival. But somewhere out there, someone with 1,000 times your wealth is casually deciding which countries get internet access, which diseases get cured first, and whether humanity becomes a multiplanetary species. They're not just living a different lifestyle. They're operating in a completely different dimension of existence where money stops being about personal comfort and starts being about rewriting the rules of reality itself. That's the real difference between millionaire and billionaire lifestyles. One buys you freedom, the other buys you God mode.